So then it got to a point, there was one I just stuck down on with called Pitchfork, and I would not stop with this strategy. The educators that taught me, I probably annoyed them. I was messaging them constantly, and I would not stop. It's 3 points. You have the point of the fork, like the end of the fork. You have the top of one end and the top on the other. Now that would draw 3 lines, like you said, 1 middle line and 2 trend lines on the side. And then in between these lines, you could actually take trades once it bounced off the pitchfork, and then back up to the next one. And then you trade up to either the next pitchfork, which you could maybe even make 5-6% on, or you just go for your 3% and stop, which a lot of the time I was just 3% stop, 3% stop, 3% stop. Once I got to the point when it started clicking and I was doing really well, my account started snowballing, as in like it was going from £250. Once it got past the £4 mark, then it started really picking up because I was making a decent amount of money every day. When it got to like the £5 mark, I was making maybe £150 in a day, and that was already more than I was making at my job. Once I got to the 100k mark, my mindset shifted, and it was like the first trade I took put me under 100k, and my mind automatically went, I need to get back to this.
So you've transitioned from this pitchfork approach, which seemed to be a really solid approach. I mean, why did you transition? Folks, welcome to the show. We've got Conor Sadler in the house. He's a tradie turned trader, flipped £250 to 127,000 over a couple of years. You're going to hear his full story and the pitchfork strategy that he was trading as well. And he doesn't trade that anymore. He trades something called bankers. You're going to find out why he switched and what bankers is all about in the show as well. That's coming up in a second. Now, before we dive in, I do want to remind you, we've still got those merch packs to give away from BLACKBULL Markets. 10 of them, in fact, if you sign up to BLACKBULL before the end of this year. And plus, you're going to get that 100% deposit bonus up to $1,000 as well. So go and check out the link under the video for that. And whilst you're there, check out the Mystery Trader on the Telegram channel. If you haven't signed up to that yet, go and check it out for your swing trades, your day trades, all over there on Trading Nut. All right, folks, enough from me. Let's dive into the show. Our sponsor, Blue Guardian's the only prop firm that gives their traders a tool to protect them from hitting their max daily loss and over trading. It's super simple to use. Just set the Guardian Protector each day from your dashboard. Did you also know that they've just released an unlimited time evaluation with a 0 trading days requirement, giving you plenty of time to hit their low 8 and 4% targets, making it super fast to get funded. Plus, it's cheaper than the 40-day time limit evaluation. Check out the link and coupon in the description to get 10% off your next Blue Guardian evaluation. All right, folks, here we are on Trading Nut. We've got a bit of a different kind of trader story here today. We've got Conor Sadler in the house, and he's part of TFT, and these guys are actually focused on creating traders who are, get this, tradies. So traders who are tradies, i.e. they've got a profession, they're a carpenter, they're a plumber, they're someone like that. Welcome to the show, Conor.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Right, now, we're going to dive into your story and how you got started in trading to start off with. And I know you've done some sort of crazy things along the journey. So let's hear how you got into it.
So yeah, I didn't grow up and think, do you know what, I'm going to be a tradesman. Oh, sorry, tradesman. I'm going to be a trader. That's not what I wanted to do. I was kind of growing up thinking I'm just going to be a tradesman. So I'll be doing plumbing, something like that, engineering. A lot of my family are engineers, so I thought I was going to be going to something like that, which I did. And I ended up actually through someone at work, someone I was working with, who was my mentor when I was learning. I was doing an apprenticeship from 17 on engineering. So through the apprenticeship, and one of my mentors in there, his son was a trader and he was a full-time trader. And I started looking into trading, and I said to him, his name was Cliff. I was like, Cliff, I look at this trading stuff. And I was 19 then, so this was 6 years ago. And he was like, oh, my son's a trader. And because I got along with Cliff very well, he got me in contact with his son. And I got in contact with him when he was going back and forth and talking and stuff. And he was actually charging to teach people, but because I know his dad, he taught me for free, which was
that's quite nice
result for me, really. Yeah,
age year 19.
Yeah, so it wasn't really anything. I didn't grow up thinking I'm going to be a Forex trader, I'm going to be any sort of stock trader or anything like that. I was just so fortunate to be in that place where I was just working a normal job, just from a working class background, and I've run into the right people.
And so this guy who was going to teach you, how was he? Was he like sort of an experienced trader? Did he have many years under his belt?
Yeah, he'd been trading, he said, on and off for the first few years, about 4 years. And then after that was just 6 years straight run. So I was like, oh, okay, he's about 31 when I met him.
Right. Okay.
I was 19.
Okay. And what did you learn in that? And I suppose because you weren't going to go out there and jump on another course, because you're obviously at 19 years old, you probably couldn't afford it. I mean, what did this guy teach you that was sort of like got you over that hurdle of, I suppose, into making some money? Because I know you did make some quite significant capital gains in terms of the first few years of trading.
Yeah. So he got me through the first. I had a big trust barrier with trading. I was very skeptical of it when I told like my family about it. They're like, "Oh, I'd stay away from it." They didn't really know either. So I was skeptical myself. He got me first of all through the sort of trust barrier with it, and he was showing me he was actually living off trading. So I was like, "Oh, okay, like this is doable."
Mm.
And then he got me through the basics and stuff. And I'll be honest, during school and stuff, I wasn't not like I wasn't the smartest, but I just didn't really try too much because I wasn't interested. So this just really confused me. So I was like, oh my God, like, it was very daunting to me when I first started. And he got me through that hurdle of the complete basics, all just down to lot size, spreads and stuff like that. He got me through all that sort of stuff. And then we started getting into chart analysis and things like that. So I didn't actually learn how to trade fully off of him. So he got me to a certain point where I was good enough to know what was going on in the market and how to get around. But he ended up moving back to, they're from Zimbabwe, his family, because his brother was quite ill and he was back in Zimbabwe. He moved and I lost contact with him completely. So it left
Right.
me a bit in a zone where I was a bit like, I know what trading is, I know what it's about, but I don't know how to do it.
So he didn't give you any like sort of here's a strategy to use in the market?
We didn't get to that point.
Oh, you're kidding. All right. So it
No,
was
yeah,
a
we didn't
free
get to that
education
point.
that didn't really give you any more than probably
Yeah,
baby pips would. Ah,
it was a
dear.
pain, yeah.
So how did you go from there then?
So yeah, from there it was I tried a lot of stuff on YouTube through again demo accounts. I was just doing demo. He taught me this from the start was just smash demo until you smash that and you've got that so crisp, then go on to a small live, which I'm really thankful for because there's the if I was just to jump onto a massive live account, and back then I didn't even know what prop firms was. I didn't know there was prop firms or funded accounts around about. So I was just started on small live accounts, and I'm so glad he got me into that transition of just a small account, a demo account, sorry, then going into a live. But yeah, so from there I was trying different things on YouTube. Nothing was working. I actually joined a few signal groups, lost all my money on them as well because they didn't really teach you like they gave you a little signal, but that was it. They
Mm.
didn't really, they just left you to your own minds. And again, I wasn't really none of the wise of any good trading or anything like that. I didn't know about real chart analysis or supply and demand or anything like that. So yeah, I lost a little bit of money on signal groups on YouTube, trying to do it myself. And I was really going back and forth with trading. I was in and out and stuff like that. And I was like, I don't know if to do it or not. I don't know if to keep going with it. I was on an apprenticeship wage, so it was a bit like I don't want to be forking out monthly fees every, like, do you know what I mean? Every month to pay for a course, which could possibly be better for me. And I'm like, I don't know, I can't really afford it as well. But
So how did you go forward from there? So you tried the signals YouTube.
mhm,
You obviously at some point broke through a barrier, and I'm guessing you
yeah,
had a time constraint issue here as well, where I know that the tradie that I know you know has to sort of like balance off when he's going to be at the charts versus when he's going to be working.
mhm.
It's always a sort of trade off between do I take up another shift or do I go and spend some time at the charts? How did you balance all that, and where did you get to the sort of breakthrough moment of like, I think I've got a strategy that works here?
Yeah. So for me, my old job when I was still an apprenticeship from 19 to 22. So I was waking up at 5 a.m. every day to go to work at 6, and then I would finish work at 2 or 3. So it was finishing quite early still. So when I got home, I'd be able to do the education and focus on mindset and stuff like that. So I would spend probably an hour or two a day, and I would even like bring my laptop with me into lunch. And at lunch, I'd still be doing education there as well. So I'm just constantly trying to get on it as much as I can. And unfortunate being young, I don't have any kids or that much of responsibilities and stuff like that when I was younger. Um, so I could just focus all eyes on trading really. And then when it got to a point where I was like, I'm just going to give it a go. I'm going to keep going and going and going and try and stop doing signal groups completely. I just thought, do you know what? I want to learn how to do this myself because I can't rely on these. It's not going to make me like any. I'm not going to leave my job from these signal groups. I could tell that already. Well, that's when I met Sean and the sort of founding guys in TFT, sort of the people at the beginning before TFT was a thing. We all kind of met with each other and we all started bouncing off each other there. And we was all trying different strategies, we was all learning different things. And we was actually in another group kind of similar to how we are in TFT. But not really anything to do with tradesmen. It was another group that were kind of just on Facebook that we found. Sean joined them first, and I followed step with Sean because I knew Sean in person before any of the trading stuff. But he had an interest in trading, and I was already had a little bit of knowledge I knew from Cliff's son from trading. So we both joined this group, and they were showing multiple different strategies really, and we was kind of bouncing around which ones to do. I wasn't too sure which ones like to stick with, so I was a bit like, again, I'm feeling good because I'm now in a position where I've got a bit of guidance, and I'm watching full-time traders trade in front of me, and they were doing live streams, like just trading in front of me, and I was watching them trade, which was brilliant for me. I was like, okay, these guys are doing it, and they're trading full-time. I can do it too. So then it got to a point, there was one I just stuck down on, which was called Pitchforks. And I would not stop with this strategy. And the educators that taught me, I probably annoyed them. I was messaging them constantly, and I would not stop. It sounds selfish, but I just wanted it to work. And I was messaging them up, is this right? Is this right? Sending them charts. Is this right? I've probably got all the DMs, probably got all the messages still. Is this right? Can you check this? They're probably getting well annoyed at me, but it helped me because I was constantly asking questions, and they were nice enough. Do you know what I mean? They were just answering as well. And they were getting me. There was a point where I was like winning some, losing some, winning some, losing some. And then I was like to a point where I was like, okay, this is the one strategy I want to do. I'm going to stick with this one. I'm not going to bounce to it anymore. Like, this one suits me. Started trading, and I started getting better and better and better. And it's over time, my win percentage started going up. And I was like, okay, I'm making a little bit of money now. And it was only small amounts. So I just moved over to a live account, which I started with £250 because it was literally, I was an apprentice still. That's all I really had to put into an account was that. And plus, I didn't know what prop firms was. So I just started with this. So I was trading away, chipping away on that account, just a little bits here and there, £6 wins, £7 wins. And do you know what? It's funny to look back on. And I really like looking back on it because I'm like, if I'd lose a trade back then, because I was still like a novice trader, really, I'd get so annoyed at myself, but it would be like £4. But I'd be annoyed more that I'd lost a trade rather than the money. Do you know what I mean? But so yeah, I was kind of chipping away then. And then there was a moment where it just clicked, and I was just starting to win, and the ball was rolling, and my percentages were hitting every day on my targets. Some days, not every single day, obviously, but some days I was making a loss. But the majority of the time I was just hitting a percentage that I wanted. I was going for 3% in a day, which seems like quite a lot now. I don't go for that now, but I was trying to go for 3% a day, then I'd stop. Then I'd go 3% the next day, then I'd stop, and I wouldn't go any further than that.
And with those 3% days, I mean, what would be like a typical amount of trades and a win-loss percentage?
So it would be like in between 2 and 3 trades a day. So it was really small time frame. It was like 1 to 3 minute time frame. But what you'd actually do, you'd mark out the whole Pitchfork on a higher time frame. So it would be like the 4 hour or the daily, and then you'd go down to the lower time frame and get right like nitty gritty with a pitch, and it would be trading off these Pitchfork legs as such.
Right. So if anyone doesn't know what a Pitchfork indicator is, or object tool, I suppose, it draws like something that looks kind of like a pitchfork, right? You've got 3.
Yeah, it's almost like a fork. Just
fork. You got 3, but you got 3 things. You got like a trend line in the middle, and then 2 on either side.
Yeah, that's it.
I think you're the first person that's been on the show that's actually used that tool as part of their trading strategy.
Yeah.
So you trade 2 or 3 trades in a day, and then how long was your session? And out of the 3 that you take, I suppose, how'd you get your 3% out of 3 trades?
So I'd always have a 1% stop loss, and that even to today I do 0.5 or 1%. I'm more towards 0.5 now, but I would do 1% stop loss. That would not change at all. If I'd lost one trade, I wouldn't then up it to 2% because that's just chasing trades, and that's a very slippery slope. I was just constantly going for 1% stop loss for a 3% gain. That would be per trade, and obviously some I'd lose, so I'd go for it again. And there would be some days I'd go 2%, or some days if I'd got a day where it was like 2% win, I'd just stop. I wouldn't try and chase that further 1% to hit my target, because I know if you get kind of complacent in a way if you're going to start searching and trying to chase this extra 1% when you've already made that 2. I was kind of stingy in a way with my trading, that I was like, okay, I've made 2%, I'll just go the next day. I'm not going to force and risk losing this money that I've worked for. I'm going to go for it the next day now.
Folks, Black Bull Markets have 10 merch packs to give away to clients who sign up before the end of the year, including one of these trader keys. So to go in the draw, all you need to do is sign up with the link below this video or in the podcast description, and you'll go in the draw to win. It's that simple. And remember, folks, when you sign up to Black Bull Markets through the Trading Nut link below, you're going to get a 100% deposit bonus up to $1,000 on your first deposit. All you need to do is click the link in the description below the video or the podcast. And if you're going to explain to someone how the Pitchfork strategy you're using worked after all the messages you'd sent these guys and found out different bits and bobs, how would you sort of, at a high level, sort of explain it?
So yeah, what it is, it kind of marks out for you where there was a scanner that I used to use, and it would mark out where you pretty much put the pitchforks on, and then you would apply the pitchfork. So there's 3 points. You have the point of the fork, like the end of the fork. You have the top of one end and the top on the other. Now that would draw 3 lines, like you said, 1 middle line and 2 trend lines on the side. And then in between these lines, you could actually take trades once it bounced off the pitchfork, and then back up to the next one. So you'd maybe trade a 1%, a trade, risk 1%, and it will literally be like maybe 10, 13 pips. It's not a big stop loss at all. And then you trade up to either the next pitchfork, which you can maybe even make 5, 6% on, or you just go for your 3% and stop, which a lot of the time I was just 3% stop, 3% stop, 3% stop.
And so I'm just trying to think. So what markets were you doing this on?
A lot of the majors, mostly majors. So all the US pairs really. I did a lot on the Euro pairs, so Euro CAD, Euro NZD, Euro AUD. I have found a lot of success on that, and the GBP pairs really, GBP NZD, GBP AUD, GBP CAD.
Okay. And so when you set up your sort of, I suppose, your approach to, you got your chart in front of you. And you're doing the higher time frame pitchforks. How did you work out which market to trade? What was the easiest way for you to do that? So because you're diving down to 1 minute, so I suppose it needs to hit a 4-hour level, pitchfork level, and then you dive down to 1 minute. I'm just guessing.
Yeah, so I'd draw my pitchfork on. It's kind of close to what you said. So I'd draw my pitchfork, and then what I'd do, there would be like before you could even trade that pitchfork before it's set, you'd have to wait till it's moved 25 pips off that first point.
Right.
So once it's then moved 25 pips, that gives you the confirmation to be like, okay, then I can start looking at trades. So what I would do, I'd set an alarm at every single pitchfork leg and every single quarter fury. So every time it got to one, I'd be alerted and my phone would go off. And I used to get in trouble at work constantly because my phone would be dinging off because it's the 1 minute time frame, and I'd have as many pitchforks as I possibly can because I'm just trying to look for as many trades as I possibly can. My phone would be going off and I'd run to the toilet. Look at it, I'm trying to get in on the 1 minute time frame on my phone, and it was an absolute nightmare. That's why I actually bought a laptop and thought, I need to do this on my lunchtime as well.
Right, okay. So you weren't just trading at a certain time, you were like literally trading across London session, in all of New York, in the workday, whilst you were doing this engineering kind of job. What was the apprentice job that you were doing?
Mechanical engineering on trains.
Okay, right. So you're in the sort of train yard kind of thing, and diving off to jump on your laptop at lunchtime and into the toilets, and they're probably thinking this guy's rubbish. Let's get rid of him.
Yeah, honestly, they probably did.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So that pitchfork strategy, you did quite well with it, from what I hear. How did that sort of journey go?
So yeah, it was once I got to the point when it started clicking and I was doing really well, my account started snowballing, as in like it was going from £250, and then it started, once it got past the £4,000 mark, then it started really picking up because I was making a decent amount of money like every day. When it got to like the £5,000 mark, I was making maybe £150 in a day, and that was already more than I was making at my job. So my old job, I made about £1,800 a month. Right. So it's about 120 quid a day sort of thing.
Yeah.
So I started making more money doing this, and I was like, hold on, this is starting to be mental. And then I had to kind of be like, to have the right guidance and have people like Sean and the guys that started TFT around me. And they were like, just keep your mindset in check, because it was so easy to run away with that fact that I'm now making more money on trading than I am like my actual work. So I had to keep myself in check with the right mindset and stay like, right, okay, you've got to this point using this method and keeping this mindset. Don't change it now, because you could quite easily veer off track and just lose a load of money if you tried.
And was there a point like that where you got to a point? Because I mean, when you start risking 3% on, like there's a 50 grand account, so that would have been like a quite significant amount of money for you at the time. I mean, how did that feel?
Yeah. So I'd say once, because the people I was working with, they were all kind of contractors. So they're on a little bit more money than I was, and they'd work 12-hour days and they'd be on like 20 quid, an hour. So they'd be making maybe like £240 in a day. And once my account got to about 10 grand and I was making 3% a day on that, which is like £300 a day, and I was making more than them, like I was like, okay, like these guys are working 12 hours a day. I was just doing the basic 8 or maybe sometimes 9 or 10, and I'm making more than them in trades. And then everyone started kind of following what I was doing. People were messaging me from my work, had my bosses and that started to jump on, and I was trying to show them um through Facebook and stuff like that. And that's kind of how TFD started forming. Same with Sean as well. People were asking him because he was doing well, running like parallel with me. We're both doing well, and people were asking us, family, friends, people from our work. So loads of tradies were asking us what's going on, how's this trading work, and all this sort of thing. So we started teaching them. But yeah, once after 10 grand, and I was making maybe £200-300 a day, that was when I was like, you know what, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life now. I just want to do this. I don't want to be working until I'm 60 odd, because the job I was doing, it was quite demanding on your body. And the people that I'd be working with, like, really nice guys, but their bodies would be battered, and you can tell, and they've got arthritis and stuff. And I was like, I can't be doing this till I'm 60, man. So once I got to that point where I was making a lot of money through trading, I was like, oh, this is so good. I was so happy with myself.
And what about like your first withdrawal? When did you take the first withdrawal?
So I actually left all my money in there as much as I could. Like, I did not touch or take any of the money out of it at all while I was working, because I could live very happily off the £1,800 a month. Like, as a 19, well, not 19 then, when I started making a bit of money, it was about 21. And so from there, I was really like, just keep this money in, just reinvest all of it. Because someone quite early on, when I started making money, they were like, here, look at this compounding calculator. And it was like, how much could you make from £250 if you just make 3% a day? And how quickly it grows is very surprising. Obviously, there'll be some days you lose, some days it'll be a little bit less than 3%, but still, nevertheless, seeing that compounding calculator, I was like, oh, this is crazy. Like, you can make a lot of money from this if you just stick very strict into the rules. So yeah, I was like, you know what? The more I leave in there, the more I can make. So I'm happy living off the £1,800 a month for my work. I'll let this go. I'll let this run as much as I can. So once, it sounds weird, but I was obviously, with COVID, people started getting put on furlough. Do you know what furlough is?
Oh,
So it's like you get sent home from work, but you still get paid by your work.
Yeah.
So I worked through the first lockdown, and then the second kind of big lockdown, I got put on furlough for 9 months. And I was already making more money from trading. So I was like, okay, this is a good opportunity now for me to be at home and trade full time at home and see how it works. So running alongside work. So I had the safety of my work pay, which is quite fortunate. It sounds a bit weird, but I was fortunate from the furlough that I was getting paid from my work, and then I could focus on being a full-time trader at home and see what the transition's like. And the transition for me was fine. It didn't really affect me too much. I was just doing what I was doing normally, but I was just at home all day, and I just needed to make sure that I would stick to, like, I only look at the chart, and even now, once my alarm goes off, I'll look at the chart then. If not, I'm just do what I want, because you can get so caught up in looking at the charts all day, every day.
Yeah.
But when my alarm goes off, then I'll go look. So I was doing that. 9 months I was doing that, which was pretty crazy. So once I went back to work after then, handed my notice in. I was like, look, I'm doing trading full time now. My boss actually come up to me, which is quite a funny story. He'd constantly come past me and he'd like, I'm millionaire yet, all for Wall Street and all this sort of thing. And he'd constantly digging at me, and we didn't get along at all, really. And once I had my notice in, he was like, oh, where are you going then? I was like, I'm just trading. He was like, well, are you just doing that? I was like, this is what I've been working on. So I bring my laptop in every single lunch. I've been working on this constantly every single day. And he was like, oh, fair play. And I was like, it was a nice bit of a, yeah, have that sort of thing.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. So you got, I know you got to over 100K in terms of like growth. So I mean, how did that all sort of finish up, and why did you stop?
Stop where, sorry.
Oh, sorry, when you got to like I think it was 127K or something like that. Uh, why did you decide to stop at that point? And well, what happened? And
Yeah,
did
so
anything happen?
no, nothing really happened. I've not stopped as such. There was a bit of a time, and I'm completely transparent with my trading. Like even to all the guys in TFC, there's hundreds of people in there, and I'll tell them when I'm having a bad streak or something's not right. Once I got to the 100K mark, my mindset shifted, and it was like the first trade I took put me under 100K, and it wasn't that much, but it put me under 100K, and my mind automatically went, I need to get back to this. And then I started chasing
Right.
trades. I lost more, chase trades again, lost more. And I had to go back. I had to stop trading. I had to come away from trading for like maybe a week or two. Because I'm like, I need to just calm down, relax. It's fine. Just do what you've been doing and then just carry on, which I needed to do because my mindset just went. It's funny. Trading, I'd probably say is 70% mindset. And even at a point like that, once I've grown my account to this massive scale, I was like, I'm like, I'm teaching people in the team now about mindset, and now reaching this level, I've got to teach myself now about mindset. I need people to tell me, relax. It's only like it's not. It doesn't matter if you get underneath 100K, you can get it back again. Do you know what I mean? But it wasn't that much. I was losing just 1%, but because I was a little bit under. I was like, I need to get it back. I need to get it back. I've achieved this thing. I need to get it back, and it really messed up my head.
And I suppose what happened? How did you sort of come out of that predicament?
So yeah, so I come away from trading for a little bit. Not not I say a little bit. It was a couple of weeks. I was like, "Do you know what? Just take a sit back. Like I live off this money now." So yeah, kind of going back to what you were saying before. When I left my job, I now just live off this money as well. So this is like I live off this, and I was withdrawing money from it, and I was thinking I'd had to kind of like in my head go back and say like, do you want to lose all this money being silly and just chasing that number? It's just a figure. Am I going to chase this and be stupid and lose all this money, or am I going to calm down, be a professional about it, relax? I've got to this point where I'm living off trading money now, which is such a big achievement. Like I had to just have a really like kind of reality check myself and tell myself, just calm down, relax, get to the 100K bit. It's fine. Don't worry about that. You're still living off it. Do you know what I mean? Start to really set my mind and go back as if I was like trading with £500 again, because it's just a number.
Mm.
I teach people now and I say to people, I don't even look at the numbers. And I didn't really when it was growing up, when it was all going up and it was building, I was only looking at percentage growth. So I'd look at 3%, 3%, 3%. Obviously now it's a little bit different because my trading style has changed a little bit. But I always tell people, just look at the percentage, take yourself away from the money side of it, and it's so much easier on your mind.
Mm.
But once it got to that figure, I was like, oh, this is messing my head because I'm looking at the numbers again. And I was looking at the numbers again. And I should have just been looking at the percentage.
It's funny, hey, it's funny. I mean, I suppose if you think about it, if you're doing it every day, 5 days a week, and you're just looking at 3%, it doesn't probably seem that big. And there's nothing to really I mean, it took you 3 years, didn't it? So it wasn't like a sort of
Yeah.
rapid account flip kind of crazy stuff. It
Yeah.
was kind of steady growth. I suppose it's yeah, that something at some point they found a little kink into your psychology.
Yeah. Yeah.
And when I say they, it's like the sort of, I suppose, the monetary gods or whatever,
Yeah.
and it just screwed you over. Now, so you've transitioned from this pitchfork approach, which seemed to be really solid approach. I mean, why did you
Mhm.
transition?
Yeah. So I transitioned maybe a year and a half ago. I transitioned over to more of like it's like a mix between smart money and some people say I traded exactly like supply and demand. I don't, I don't, I've not gone for a supply and demand approach, but that's apparently how I trade. And the main reason is because Pitchforks, because it was all in the 1 minute time frame, 3 minute time frame, I was constantly at the computer or constantly on my phone. And that's not why I started trading. I really started trading just to have more freedom, to be honest. And because I'd have alarms going off, I'd probably only, even though I'd get in one or two, maybe three trades a day, I'd have like 15 alarms going off all day, and I'd be
Mm.
constantly looking, waiting, because I was like, a lot of it was it would get to a pitchfork, and then you'd wait for it to kind of start to turn, and then you would enter. So I'd be sat there waiting for it to turn, ticking by on the 1 minute, and it was really like it was just time consuming, and I didn't want to do that. That's not why I started trading. But there was a another strategy that I was interested in, which is obviously smart money, supply and demand, bankers and stuff like that, and it interested me how to see how, sorry, the banks and stuff like that kind of are a player in the market, and started learning about imbalances and sweeps and that sort of thing. And I was like, okay, this it actually started interesting me. So I was like, I'm gonna see what it's like. I still had the pitchfork skills there, so I was still trading pitchforks. But I then went on demo again, back to demo on this new trading style to see how I would get along. And it kind of, although I have all this knowledge of trading on pitchforks, the transition over to this new style is called bankers. We call it bankers in our group, or smart money. The transition over from taking 2 or 3 trades a day to 1 or 2 a week, I found that a little bit hard. So that's why from the start, from Cliff's son, his name's Assad. He told me just hit the demo and just keep going demo and demo and demo and demo until you're good enough. So I had that same mindset and I adopted this to this new style. So I went over from pitchforks to bankers on demo, stayed on that till I was getting good enough with that, and then I switched completely over to live onto bankers then.
Right. Okay. So you made all right. So it was very. I kind of know where you're coming from in terms of. I mean, I for a while there traded an hour strategy, right? And so every hour there was opportunity, and you kind of it just and I had alerts going off, and it was just too interruptive in the day, and it was because they could come at any time, and it was by the time the end of the day was I'm absolutely shattered because I've got trades running, I've got trades setups happening, I'm checking. Is every hour I'm doing something, whereas I'm like, well, I don't want to do something every hour, and now I managed to sort of distill it down to something that fits better with my lifestyle, and it's actually kind of a different strategy. It was kind of the same strategy but different, so it does make sense. Now, if you were to sort of break down some stats, what would you break them down on, the current approach or the old approach?
So I'd say definitely for a better type of living would definitely be this approach. I haven't traded pitchforks in a long time now, so I wouldn't know going back. I'd still be able to do it. I know how to do it now still, but I wouldn't know if it's still because the market adapts. I wouldn't know if it was the market changes and you have to kind of adapt a little bit. So I wouldn't be too sure if I had to go back if it would still be as successful as it was. But with this trading style I have now, I stick with this. Sometimes I have to adapt just a little bit. Sometimes I went on higher time frames, sometimes lower, depending on what's going on. I'd say this new style is because I use the analogy a lot. I use it a lot with the guys in TFT as well. I use an analogy of fishing with trading. And what I do really is I set my alarms out, and just like fishing, you throw your bait and you set your alarm. And I literally just wait for the price to come to me. And I will not look at the charts until the end of the day, which I might put some more alarms on until this alarm goes off. And then it's like fishing. You don't really pick the rod up or strike until your alarm goes off or there's a fish at the end of the line. So I just sit and wait. And I don't really sit and wait and look at the computer. I'll go and do what I want to do for the day. So that suits my lifestyle so much more because I like to go do fitness and stuff like that and everything else. Plus, I have time now to kind of help other people that have like family and friends and stuff that have come over to do some trading as well.
Because
this new style.
Are you so? I mean, before you're doing 3% a day, 2% loss, you're out. What are you doing now around the sort of risk management side of things?
So I'm doing 0.5 or 1%. Now that will differ between if I'm at the charts and I can monitor the trade and I can watch and my alarms, I can beat at the computer if my alarm goes off. I don't trade on my phone at all because I was doing it when I was like transitioning over to bankers, and I found trying to trade with bankers, like you have to look at the bigger picture, and on the phone I feel like I can't do that properly. So I kind of banned myself from trading on my phone, and I would do all my chart analysis on the computer. So I was just looking at the higher time frame and my alarms and stuff going off, and I'd be looking at maybe 1 or 2 trades a week. I'd do 1 or 2, and it's different because obviously I was making 3%, and again that's another mindset thing that I had to kind of get over. 3% a day or 2%, 1% a day, going to now, which I'll probably make about 8% in a month, 4 to 8% in a month. And change over from
it's interesting. I mean, because I'm just trying to think. So from a trade point of view, if you're looking at a risk to reward, which is kind of what I base things on, what was your risk to reward on like one of those trades that you take during the week if it went on to win?
1 to 4 would be good. I normally just go for like 1 to 3s or a 1 to 2. I will take a little bit of partials and I let the rest run. I would adapt to kind of what the market's looking like. If there's like a imbalance or fair value gap or imbalance in between the range that I'm actually looking at, so I'll have a final target. But if there's stuff in between, then I'll take profits at every single bit that I feel like the market could possibly reverse off. So I'd be
Right.
looking at ultimately I'll be looking at like a 1 to 4 or 1 to 5. But if it gets to a 1 to 2 and it's at a point where I'm like, it could reverse here, I'll take partials and I'll always move my stop loss to break even after 30 odd pips. Always do that. But yeah, I'm always risking 1% or risking 0.5%.
Okay, so they're kind of high R trades, but um, and so I'm just trying to work it out. So you're taking 1 to 2 trades a week,
Hmm.
and if you get and your target sort of 1% across the whole week, or across the trading day, or the days that you take the trade, you'll target like 1%. So
Oh no,
that's
sorry. I risk 1%.
oh, you risk 1%. Ah,
I'll
okay,
risk
right.
1% or risk 0.5 and I'll go for like
Ah,
3 or 4%.
Ah,
Yeah, my
okay,
bad.
right. Okay, sorry, I got you. I misunderstood.
No
Okay,
problem.
so what are the stats look around like around that strategy you've got there? I mean, winning percentages. We got the risk to reward ratio. We got the number of yeah. So really, what's the winning? How many trades are you going to win in like a month?
Yeah, so I'll do, like I said, 1 or 2 a week. There's some weeks I don't actually do any. If there's nothing there and I'm like, okay, I don't like the look of it, I'm not going to chase a trade. I just won't get in. So I'll probably take in a total for a month, maybe about 7 trades, and I'll win maybe 5, sometimes 4. But because the risk to reward and the ratio's there,
Hmm.
I'm always you can more or less lose more than you can more or less lose more than you win and still be up. As
Yeah,
long as you stay strict with your risk to reward ratio, which is obviously basics to us. But I've always kept that foundation about me, and I'm not gonna ever change that because it's so installed into me now. It's almost mechanical, where I'm like, okay, if I take a loss this week and I don't take a trade next week, I know my trading style and my strategy works. I'm just gonna wait. I'm not
yeah,
gonna chase a trade. If I make a loss last week and I don't take any trades this week, so I don't like anything, I'll be like, okay, whatever. I know there's trades to come. I just got to be patient with it.
yeah. It
So
seems.
yeah,
Sorry, mate. Go on. You go on.
sorry, go on. Yeah, I'd maybe win 5, 6, 7 trades in a month.
Yeah. So thinking about like your mindset and that journey to get to the point where you are now, I
Mhm.
mean, can you think of anything in there that sort of, I suppose, enabled you to get over, or I suppose gain that probability mindset whereby you knew that, if I place the order and got out here, got out there at a loss for a profit, I was happy to, not do stupid things like the typical mindset things that people do,
Yeah, yeah,
whereby they
chasing
lose
trades and
confidence in
stuff.
the strategy and they
Yeah.
start hopping or changing it. How did you get across those?
So yeah, it's a good question. Well, it's such a hard point when you're transitioning from demo to live, or even now I see some of the guys that are in TFT, if they transition from one of their demo accounts to a funded challenge, because a lot of them guys go down the funded challenge route. Um, the mindset shift is so it's you see it in them and they're so confident on demo and they're doing good and they're like, yes, it's going well. Then they put a trade on live and they're like, oh, it's going towards their stop loss. They might be in a little bit of drawdown and they exit it. And then it goes the way they're supposed to go, or they don't end it trades because their confidence is not behind them. I'd say a small tip for that, by the way, if let's say you're risking 1% per trade and you're transitioning now over from a demo to a funded account or demo to a small live account, just drop your percentage, maybe go to 0.5. And the way I look at it, because obviously with your funded accounts, you have your 10% drawdown loss or whatever. If you have your 10% drawdown and you've got 1% risk per trade, you get 10 goes before you blow 10 trades in a row before you blow that account. If you drop it to 0.5, you've now got 20 tries, if that makes sense. You get more tries for what you're doing. Although the potential for percentage growth is a little bit slower, the confidence boost it will give you because you've got more tries and you can just start slow on a small amount. So then once you're starting feeling better about trading live, you can up it to 1%. I wouldn't go any further than that at all.
Mm.
But yeah, I'd say 0.5 to 1% is perfect for people. But yeah, me personally, it was a lot of trial and error. It was because I spent so much time on demo, I was like really like it almost got mechanical to a point where I was like, if I lost, it's okay, it's mechanics, it's fine. I was kind of not ignoring the fact that it could be my fault, but I was like, do you know what? It's a loss. It is what it is. I'll go on to the next one. I'd always evaluate if I lose, even now, if I lose, I'll go back to the chart and I'll look and I'll see, should I have entered this? Is there a reason why? But sometimes now even I'll lose and I'll be like, do you know what? I shouldn't have entered that. I don't know why I entered that at the time. And I'll know for next time, okay, don't enter that sort of trade because of what happened.
Yeah.
But yeah, I listen to mindset stuff like every single day, probably an hour, and it doesn't have to be trading. It could literally be like on pep talk. It could be YouTube videos. It could literally be everything. And I listen to it constantly, like in my headphones or I drive to training. I listen to a mindset thing for like an hour there, hour back. I'm always listening to mindset stuff, and it does keep me on the track of like, if I lose, I'm like, there's a bigger picture. It's a marathon, not a sprint. So I'll get there. I don't need to rush this. And I've known I've got to where I am now I've been trading now maybe like 6 years, but successfully for like 3 or 4. I've got to the point where I am by sticking and being patient. And if I lose, don't worry about it. Go on to the next one. It's just a 0.5% or 1%. There's more percentages coming. There's more trades coming. Knowing that I've got to a point where I've left my job now and I just trade full time, I'm like, just stick to what you're doing. You're good. Don't panic. And for the newer guys, it's kind of hard for them to do so. And I know it is because I've been there. You lose a trade, like I've got to get this back. It's not gone to my plan. I have to trade this. They up their percentage, up their loss. They start chasing trades. They start going, oh, I'll give this a go. And it's a complete mess when that happens. But just slow it down a bit. Listen to a lot of mindset stuff. That definitely helps me. And
well, I think the other thing that's probably helped you is that the fact that you've had so much chart time in that first 3 years of trading, like trading that live account, it just gave you, every day you're in there and you're placing 2 or 3 trades a day. So 2 to 3 trades times 5 days a week, let's call it 15 trades a week. So you got 15 trades a week. A month you're taking like maybe 15 times 4 is 60 trades. Is that right? 64, 40, 60 trades. So 60 trades a month. That's an awful lot of trades, right? An awful lot. And so you think about that, looking at a chart every single day, there will be a whole lot of chart time in there that people just probably will never do. And especially, getting 60 trades a month is crazy kind of numbers.
Yeah.
And hence why you transitioned, right? Because it is crazy.
To be fair, you're actually the first person who's ever said that to me. When you look at it like that, as in I've had so many trade entries and wins and stop losses and break evens. Yeah, it ties down to experience. A lot of it's just being in there, having chart time. Yeah, like you say, just looking at the charts constantly. I've never actually had someone say it to me kind of like that. 60 trades a month. I've had all these emotions going through me. I'm used to these emotions of being in live trades and stuff.
Yeah, I think that's kind of crafted your mind in a way that you probably didn't even realize it was doing, and it's just come to fruition in terms of like now transition to another strategy. All those things that are going to screw other people up aren't going to screw you up because you've done so many trades on this other strategy. It's just like this is what you do, which is awesome. Now, what about like somebody who isn't in your position? They haven't done all those trades. What would you recommend they do from a step-by-step process to get to the point where, I suppose they're leaping into this kind of banker's style that you've got and looking to leave their job as an apprentice carpenter or bricklayer?
Yeah. So a lot of the guys that are in TFT, obviously, they're all like bricklayers and plumbers and stuff like that, and they don't have as much time in the day as they would as I kind of had, because I finished kind of early, and obviously tradies will finish late, 6, 7, 8 o'clock, working 12-hour days trying to build their business. What I would say is if you can get a bit of chart time in, get it in. Get the experience in. If you've got a 30-minute lunch, just spend 30 minutes on some education or just looking at the charts and just get as much time as you possibly can in. I hear a lot that I know people are busy. A lot of people say to me, oh, I don't have enough time. And I'm like, if you could do 30 minutes on your lunch break, it helps. It's kind of like accumulating of just time on the charts, time and time and time. Just keep looking and looking and looking. And even if you're not, let's say, putting a trade on, it kind of ties into a lot of the time when I was first starting trading, I would always, on a live account as well, if I didn't feel too confident, I would kind of like act like I've put the trade on and I'd watch it to see if it would win. And that would kind of build my confidence up. So I think for newer people that are looking to transition over to live trading, Definitely do a lot of back testing. Obviously, back testing I think is really key with a certain strategy. Whatever strategy you're doing, there's a lot of strategies at work. If you're doing what I'm doing, just take your time with it. I like to look for liquidity sweeps. So I'm constantly that I say for the newer people to go onto the chart and just look at liquidity. So your equal highs, your equal lows, support, resistance, trend lines, all these sort of things, Asian sessions. I constantly was looking at them and I wouldn't stop looking at them. Like you say, chart time. Every time I'd go on at lunch, I'll just mark them out and I'd constantly be marking out on the charts where this liquidity is, where it gets grabbed, what time of the day it gets grabbed, how often it gets grabbed during the month. And I'd constantly just write this down in my book. I'd have a book that I just write all this stuff down and I'll just keep chipping away at this charts and just keep going and going and going and chipping away at it. But a lot of the chart time will accumulate and you'll start after a while when it starts clicking, you'll be like, oh, I've seen this before. Oh, okay, does it at this time? Yeah, this work, this Asian session. Okay, yeah, this works. And it starts clicking after that after a while. But yeah, I'd say for the people that are starting as complete beginners who are like tradies or just any profession really, just try and get as much chart time as possible and don't be afraid to use your demo accounts, what they're there for. I was on demo account for like 2 years and I wasn't ashamed of that at all. I'm a little bit stingy. I didn't want to lose my real money. I didn't make that much money, so I didn't want to put money into it straight away when I'm a little bit unknowledgeable on it and then start losing money. So be happy being on a demo account. That's exactly what they're there for. And as well as back testing, do a lot of back testing. Don't be afraid to forward test as well. So once you're sitting there and you're looking at a trade and you're like, okay, I like this. I'm not actually going to enter this. I'm going to wait and see what it does. And then do that a few times and keep doing it and doing it and then transition over to your life.
Now, thinking about like the mindset side of things, right? So somebody comes in, they learn a strategy, they want to get better at the mindset. Have you got anything that you've sort of said, like, this is the best thing that I've ever come up with to try and sort my mindset out? Have you got like a little hack there?
Yeah, so a lot of the time, when I'm in a trade, I set alarms at my take profit, as in a target of mine. So it'd be like an imbalance or something like that. Once I'm in a trade, I just don't look at it until the alarm's off. And I know it's until the alarm goes off. I know it's hard to do that because at the start I'd constantly be going back. I'd even be looking at the 1 minute time frame, watching them tick by that each candle. Come on, go on, get there. And I'm literally sitting there like I feel like every trader's gone through that motion at the start and you're looking and you're just constantly waiting. But there was a point where it kind of clicked for me was leaving, not fully leave my job, but when I was making more money than I was actually working. So when I could see myself becoming a good trader and being like a successful trader, it kind of made me feel like a professional trader already, if that makes sense. And I know I wasn't nowhere near like a professional trader. And I wouldn't really even class myself as a professional trader. I'd just say I'm a good trader. But I think hold yourself higher. Hold yourself as in kind of imagine yourself sitting as in you're a good trader. If you've just lost one, what would a good trader do? So don't worry about it. It's part of my strategy. It's part of the plan. Don't worry about it. The next one's coming. All the top traders, I could say, are probably emotionless. Like they don't sit there screaming every time they win or they lose. They just get pissed off and start throwing the toys out the pram. I think completely hold yourself as you're already a professional trader and think how they would think. Although you might not be there yet, the mindset side of it is what I kind of did. So I was kind of looking at myself as like, okay, I'm making a little bit of money here. Wait till my account's at 10 grand. I'm gonna be making a lot of money here. So I was kind of looking at myself as a better trader than I already was.
Right.
Because like if I lost, I'm like, okay, doesn't matter. I've lost a little bit. That's fine. I'll go on to the next one. And it was kind of mechanical in a way after a while. It was just like, I just lost a percent. It's part of it. I'll learn from it. A lot of the time, if I'd lose and I'd go back and look, I'd see why I'd lost. And I'd be like, oh, okay, I shouldn't have actually vented that. I've got in too quickly there. My mind's played with me. My mind made me think like, oh, do you know what? I'm going to miss out. The fear of missing out, FOMO, is really bad for you. So try and get around FOMO because you're not going to miss out. There's trades there. Like you said, I was taking 60 trades in a month, 15 trades a week, 2 or 3 a day. There's going to be trades there. Just wait for the right one. Like I say, with fishing, set your bait out. Let it come to you. Just relax. There's going to be plenty of opportunities.
I like that. I like that sort of, put yourself in that position of, let's say, for example, you lose a trade. Just think, you'll have all these emotions come over you. I'm guessing most people will. It's kind of natural. But then I suppose at that point in time, if you go, well, hang on, what if I was a professional trader? How would I be? How would I be reacting? How would I be feeling? And then it actually will make you. What would I be doing? It'll actually make you change the way you
Yeah.
do it. In terms of like, you might even pick up a pen or a note down like what went wrong on that trade instead of just getting annoyed and sort of feeling these flood of emotions. It's great advice. It's great advice. I think it's something that
Yeah.
people should take up if you're not doing it already.
It sounds a bit mental. I'd even sometimes, sorry to interrupt. It sounds a bit mental. Like I'd actually sometimes sit, especially when I was a bit younger. I would sit and envision myself in a massive house, loads of money around me, and it sounds unrealistic and stuff like that. It sounds like mental. But I'd sit there and I'd be like, I'm in this massive house. I've just lost a little trade. That's fine. Don't worry about it. Next one's coming. I've got all this stuff from this trading,
Yes.
which I
Yeah.
kind of imagine myself like that.
Yeah.
And now
Yeah.
at the time when I was first starting, it would be like, imagine yourself full-time trading. Would you get annoyed? No, you just live off it. It's only a little bit of money. Don't worry about it. The next trade's going to come. You've got to the point where you live off it now. Are you going to start getting annoyed and get to a point where you might have to go back to work because you're losing this money now? Or you're just going to be a professional trader, hold yourself higher. You've lost a little bit. It's fine. In your head, you're sitting in your mansion in your big chair, your massive pool and stuff like that. I kind of
Yeah.
sit and look at myself like that in my head.
That's great. It's sort of like that Conor McGregor kind of approach when he was
Yeah,
starting out, and he was like going,
yeah,
he's driving some crappy old car, and he goes, "I'm
hmm
pretending I'm driving a Lambo or whatever it was."
yeah, yeah.
Okay, cool. Right now, I'm going to throw this at you in terms of just some hypothetical here. So the issue you had with the pitchforks was too much frequency, right? Too many trades,
Yeah.
too much issue getting on the 1 minute. Now, what would happen, or could this be? And this might help other people out there who have gone, pitchforks. I'm going to check that out.
hmm
What would happen if you sort of bumped up the time frames across the board? So, for example, instead of going on a high time frame pitchfork at a 4 hour, you went in like a weekly, and then your entry time frame was going to be a 1 hour or a 2 hour even, or
Yeah.
4 hour.
hmm
Would that entice you back? Do you think that people could even make that work?
Possibly, possibly. Because the way I was taught it was to draw the pitchfork on the 4 hour, then go down to the 1 minute, 2 minute, 1 minute, 3 minute, 5 minute kind of time frame. I was never really taught to do it how you kind of said it there. But if it was to come around and I'd see people kind of being successful, I don't think I'd go back now. I think I'd just stick the way I am. I don't like to, if I'm making a living off what I'm doing now and I'm doing well with what I'm doing now, I don't really want to go back to something that could possibly, I have to change my mindset again. It could possibly be making a lot of trades.
Yeah,
There's a lot more of a chance. If I'm in a good rut, I like to stay in it.
yeah,
Sometimes I do have to adapt my trading style if things are not going well. I'd have to adapt. But I think I would definitely stay with this trading style move now.
okay, cool. All right, well, look, let's. I see. Well, before we dive into a quick fire round here, so you did really late into your trading journey discover prop firms, which is kind of weird.
hmm
Like that, I think you're almost so dedicated and fixated on what you're doing that you missed the whole prop firm thing. So I think
Yeah.
you could even, looking back, you could have probably been miles further than you currently are
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah.
if you discovered them earlier. Which, I mean, like, I'm not surprised you didn't, because it's just one of those things. If you get fixated on this, you're just not looking around for it.
hmm
Because I suppose you're 3% a day, and on a purchased 100K account is going to be,
hmm
three goes, and you probably pass the challenge, and then you've on to making, kind of 3 grand a day on these
Yeah, yeah,
accounts of you.
yeah.
So I suppose, first of all, did you think about it like that, or have I just annoyed you by
No.
explaining what you've just missed out on? And secondly, I mean, what are you doing now? What's your strategy around it?
Yeah, so I actually get asked this quite a lot. A lot of the guys in TFC ask me, and it doesn't annoy me at all, really, but it's funny to see how I had to really grind to start from £250 to build it up. I got to 1 grand and I was so happy. And then people in the team now have got 250 grand funded accounts and they're withdrawing money from it like 20 grand. And I'm like, you've just skipped the queue sort of thing. Do you know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
it's quite funny, but yeah, I didn't
Yeah.
know what they were at the time, but I'm kind of thankful I didn't. I feel like it made me a better trader because I could trade the smaller numbers and just build it up gradually and gradually and gradually. I feel like I don't think I would have been as successful if I just went straight from demo to a 100 grand possible count. I feel like the numbers would have messed with my head too much there. But I don't know. I've had a few people and prop firms ask for me to trade for them and do give me like a 100k account and start trading on this 100k account or whatever, which it never really, a lot of it was, which is changing now. A lot of it, I didn't really like the restrictions. So I didn't really like, there's a lot of them you can't hold trades over the weekend, and sometimes I would. You can't trade news with some of them, and sometimes a lot of my entries are off news, a lot of certain sweeps. And that would be like, it would affect my trading style. So I was like, I'm not going to bother. But a lot of them now, there's a lot less rules. You can trade over the weekend. You can trade news. There's no time limit. So there was time limits on funded accounts. They've kind of gradually getting chipped away now. But yeah, it never really appealed to me to stick to it, because I was like, what I'm doing is working. So I don't want to get out of this good rut. I want to stay what I'm doing. Yeah. Although prop firms, I believe if I knew what they were at the start, I probably would have done it. I probably would have jumped onto it. A lot of the guys in TFC do. They start trading demo, then they go into a challenge. They pass the challenges and they get live funded accounts, which I'm happy for them. I'm more than happy for them to do that. I would have done the same thing if I'd started, but because I'm on this good rut, I don't like to come out of it. I'm quite ignorant in my ways.
I like that. It's a good rut. Stuck in a good rut. Yeah. But it's good. Now, let's dive into some quick fire questions here. So, what's your favorite entry setup?
So I like to wait for my position, the price to come into a position of interest on the 4-hour time frame. Once it's in this position on the 4-hour time frame, I'll drop down to maybe like 15-minute and wait for it to do something similar there. So a lot of mine's on liquidity sweeps and imbalance fills and stuff like that, and like the news taking out highs or lows. I find the markets are quite fractal in that way. So once my position's in, you could say a 4-hour liquidity sweep or supply and demand zone, I then drop down to the lower time frame, and I have all of the time frames kind of going in the same direction. So I have, like, I've not got one time frame going this way, one time frame going this way. And once I've got them all going now the same way, let's say for a sell, then I'll enter the trade. Once all the imbalance, all the liquidity is filled, or everything's taken on both the high time frame and the smaller, I'm like, okay, I do believe that's going to start coming down now.
And you're just looking at those two timeframes here. You're not doing everything in between. Just as soon as those two are in alignment.
I'll flick through. I'll go for sometimes I look at the daily as well. It depends how long I'm going to hold the trade for. If I'm going to hold the trade for possibly a week or two, I'll look on the daily and look at the targets. I'm always looking at targets, which kind of bases how long I'm going to stay in a trade for. If I see a trade that's on a smaller time frame, 15-minute, I'll look for targets on the 1 hour possibly, and I'll look for, like I said there, fair value gaps, imbalances, liquidities, stuff like that. I'll look for that, and if it hits that, I'll take a lot of partials out. So I'll take partials at these different levels once I feel like it could possibly reverse off there. But the higher time frame ones, like the daily and the 4-hour ones, I'll possibly hold them a little bit longer. I feel like it will go that long. And sorry to interrupt. I kind of I have a lot of analogies with trading. I don't know, it helps me in a certain way. Once I'm looking at a sort of certain trade coming, let's say for a sell, I really like to look at what's below. And if I've got loads of targets below and loads of things I believe that the market's going to reverse off down below, I look at them as magnets in a way. They've got kind of magnets here sitting and it's kind of pulling the price down. And I look at it, if there's more magnets on top, then I feel like there's more chance of it going up. If there's more magnets on the bottom, there's more chance of it then getting pulled down. And in the middle bit is the price, is the magnet. The more magnets below, it's going to get more chance. Nice. Obviously, not 100%, but it starts pulling the price down.
Yeah. So that's a great analogy. It's a great analogy. Mm-hmm. What about your preferred sort of recommended trading book or resource?
Ooh. So you mean for like mindset stuff?
Mindset or anything really?
Yeah, I listen to Trading in the Zone. I've listened to that a couple of times. Rich Dad, Poor Dad. I've listened to that. As for general like trading books, I didn't really listen to many like trading books, but I listened to a lot of mindset stuff, and that could be financial mindset or just general mindset. Just a lot of discipline stuff, I'd say, helps, because you have to be disciplined with trading. You can't really, let's say you got 10 trading rules and you've got 9, you can't really be like, I've got 9, I went, you have to get the 10. So I think a lot of discipline stuff.
What's your best discipline book that you've read or listened to?
I don't really go for more. I listen to a lot of David Goggins.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
David Goggins. I listen to him. Um, so this is not really to do with trading, really. I listen to just a lot of general mindset stuff because I think if you have a good discipline sort of in a person, then it will transfer over to trading as well. So if you can be disciplined as a person, then you'll be disciplined as a sort of trader as well. So yeah, general audiobooks. I listen to a lot of stuff on Audible and Pep Talk, and this would be just general like motivation, mindset, and a lot of discipline stuff,
Yeah,
definitely.
cool. Do you want to walk us through your worst ever trade?
Oof. So there was actually a time, um, I've actually got the messages as well. I was messing about with someone at work, and do you know when you go from a demo to a live account and you switch? I was on my phone. When you switch from a demo to a live account, you can actually, when you change the lot size on the demo and you go back to your live, it doesn't change.
Oh,
It
right.
stays the same.
Yeah, okay.
So I'd placed a trade on this demo account, messing about with bigger lot sizes. My mate at work, his name's Rob, and he's actually trading now as well, which is pretty cool. He's and then when I back to a live account a little bit later, this was really early on in my career. When I back to my live account, I had a massive like trade
Yeah.
like lot size on, and I'd lost thousands, and I was like, no, like it was such a silly mistake, but I'm kind of glad it happened in a way now because I feel like it made me so much more sharp. I'm
Yeah.
always checking my stop losses, checking
Yeah.
take profits, checking everything literally double, triple over now before I enter a trade. So at the time, I wanted to cry because I had to wake up and go at 5 a.m. the next day and go to work. And it's such a chip into my account. I was like, so annoying. But now I
Okay.
kind of look at it and I'm kind of glad it happened because it was a loss. It was a big loss. And I look at it now and it was like, do you know what? I'm kind of glad that happened because it makes me, even to this day, I'll just
Yeah.
double, triple check my trades.
It can happen. It can happen so easily. I did it last week where I placed a 10 lot trade instead of a point 0.1 lot trade on this account, which was copying across to Blue Guardian. And it turned out to
Oof,
be a 40 lot trade on Blue Guardian.
oof.
And thankfully, I noticed it straight away. And I was like, I ended up exiting it like at basically just commission loss, which I think was 1.5R loss on the account. So it wasn't
Mm.
drastic, but that was with a profitable commission. And the commission was so big that it was like, because I couldn't tell how much commission was being taken off of the Blue Guardian. But anyway,
Yeah.
right now, before we wrap up, what do you want to leave our listeners with one piece of advice?
Yeah, I'd say just as hard as it can be, as hard as it can play with your mind, and you just feel like you can't get this, and you feel like, oh, I just can't do it. It's not clicking. It's not working. Just really keep chipping away at it every day. Just keep chipping away, chipping away, chipping away. It's not a marathon. Sorry, it's not a race.
So,
It's a
yeah,
marathon.
yeah,
It's definitely it's a long game. It's not a get rich quick scheme or anything like that. You see some people like, oh, make 10,000 in your first week. It's not like that at all. The real gritty hard trading is taking losses. Be happy with taking losses. Like I learned from your losses, like I did when I lost like 9,000. I learned from that completely, and it all the time at the time I was a bit like, oh, I'd already built my account up to a good amount, so I was like, do you know what? I've done it before. I can do it again. It's fine. I've lost this 9 grand, whatever. Just keep chipping away, no matter what happens. Just keep chipping away at it. 1% better every day. You hear that saying. One day it will click to a point, and the clicking is so good because you're like, do you know, this is actually working now. This is good. All this hard work I put into this, and just take your time with it. It's a if it was easy, everyone would be doing it. It is a hard game. It takes time, it takes a lot of dedication, and just keep chipping away at it. Really focus on your mindset. I'd say your mindset is probably, yeah, like I said earlier, 70% of
mm,
of trading, and hold yourself higher once you're trading. This really helped me hold yourself as a higher trader than you are. Just look at yourself as a professional. Look at yourself with the things that you kind of want in your life. You want to surround yourself with a nice house, car, your kids are set. Visualize yourself as that, and you can kind of work yourself slowly towards that goal rather than trying to race and be like, I need to get this. It will come. Just got to take your time.
awesome, awesome, brilliant advice. Now, before we wrap up, what's the best way for traders to get hold of you?
Yeah, so I have a group on Facebook where they can come and check out what I do for free. If you want to do it, it's called Tradesmen's and Forex Traders Trial Group. You can check that out. You can come, goes to please. It's free. You can stay in as long as you want. We put a load of free stuff in there. We actually have loads of education for free in there as well. Website is www.tft.co.uk. Sorry, if you want to check that out as well. Or my personal Instagram is Conor Sadler. Just type in Conor Sadler, you'll find me.
Okay, cool. And if people aren't tradies and they're not from the UK, are they still able to check you guys out and join? Or
Yeah. So with TFT, it started off just as a group of tradesmen kind of learning how to trade together, and then it blew up massive to what it is now. But you do not have to be a tradesman. You can be any profession. You can be singer, teacher, whatever, even a parking ticket warden. If you want to join,
those people, you let them join as well. Okay. All right. Well, look, a big thank you to Conor for sharing with us today. Everything we've discussed here, along with all those links, are going to be in the show notes. To find them, simply search for Conor in the search box on tradingnut.com or click the link under the video or podcast. Until next time, wish all my listeners trading happiness and success. Tired of missing trades or spending hours at the charts? Introducing my Robot Builders Club. With our platform, you can build bots in minutes, not weeks, without any coding required. Get lifetime access to my video course, VIP community, and over 40 ready-made robots. Works with MT4 or MT5, and as a bonus, you'll get 3 months access to my robot lab, where we build and test bots on live calls every week. Join the hundreds of traders who are trading smarter, not harder. Click the link in the description to learn more, get the free training, and download a free robot. Alright folks, there you have it, interview done and dusted with Conor. Now, if you do want to find out how he trades, then check out the video that's dropping on the channel where he breaks down the bankers style of trading that these guys use over there at TFT. Also remember, we've got that merch pack giveaway. We've got the 100% deposit bonus with BLACKBULL. We've got the 10% off with Blue Guardian, and we've got the 90% off with Apex Trader Funding. So if you guys want to support the show, go and check these guys out. Links in the description here. All right, enough from me. Have a great trading week, and we'll see you in the next one.